Greetings, Rigil Agateiades here, and today we have a mobile suit that's like canned beans with its expiration date rewritten 6 times. With its best before date refreshed year after year, the mobile suit we're on today doesn't feel outdated at all, even after almost 5 whole years. This is the mobile suit that's so old, it's the 4th ever mobile suit in this game to transform, the 600 cost general type, Gabthley. And yes, I've given up on reading its name properly. The Gabthley may not be the best general type at 600, but it certainly doesn't feel like a mobile suit from 5 years ago. And the secret to aging well for so long is to, well, not age at all. The rate at which the Gabthley gets buffed is extraordinary, with fresh buffs almost every year. The last time the Gabthley got buffed was just a couple of months ago. And they're not just simple damage buffs. Every time, they came with improvements to the weapon handling, gave it new mobile suit skills, or straight up new weapons to catch up with the meta, making this mobile suit age as well as the legendary stand user himself. Get a stagger on the Delta Plus, missed the melee combo, but here's a second melee weapon. Still couldn't catch the Delta Plus, but we're not yet out of moves. Evade his melee, and this time we hit his side combo resonance. Teammate stagger came just in time, however, and we can seal the deal. Stagger on the violin, and then 2 shots, 2 kills. The Gabthley may be a 5-year-old mobile suit, but after 6 buffs in total, it's nothing like what it was when it first arrived. Let's start with the weapons. The main weapon on the Gabthley is the Peritune rifle. 50% stagger every uncharged shot for 50% hit rate, and 0.8 second firing interval means you can very quickly get up to 150% stagger accumulation. Yes, that'll overheat the gun, but as you will find out sooner or later, doing that makes the Gabthley so much stronger. You also get a normal stagger if you charge the shot, so you have plenty of choices in just one weapon. And technically even more choices with that Peritune rifle alone, because it also comes with the Peritune rifle Beam Saber. This Beam Saber comes with no melee combo, but that's more than enough as a second melee weapon, especially with the extra long down attack range. Next we have the shoulder beam cannon. While you have to stand still to fire them, they're perfectly fine as an instant stagger. And just like the Peritune rifle, overheat them and they become 2 staggers. Third weapon, and that's the rapid fire mode for the shoulder beam cannons. With 25% stagger accumulation per hit, they stagger even faster than the Peritune rifle. But you don't need that most of the time because 2 shots on that rifle is enough to put the violin back on the ground. Then we swap to the Peritune saber and give the Delta a good old backstab. While this mobile suit doesn't come with crazy melee damage, it still wrecks raid types like a can opener. Dodge the first refined Cyclops wire, hit 2 enemies at once with the melee, and we finally go down. Quite a run for a 5-year-old mobile suit. The constant buffs to this mobile suit not only gave it up-to-date weapons, but over the years, it also gave the Gabthley all the stats and skills it needs. First, the skills. Name a practical must-have and the Gabthley will have it. Emergency evasion, maneuver armor, aerial control program, forced injectors. In fact, if you look at the skill list on the Gabthley, all you have are things you'd need at 600 and absolutely nothing extra. Skip us all that waffle. Then we have the stats, and I love the stats on the Gabthley because it's perfectly balanced as all things should be. With exactly 25 defense of all types and equal ranged and melee attack, the Gabthley has no weakness, not even a minor one. Add on top the above average base health of 21,000, and this mobile suit can always stand its ground. The perfect balance will be ruined by our custom parts, but even so, it's a pretty sight. Add on some beam defense, the same amount of melee defense, some range attack, and some thrusters, and we have just the stats we need. Finally top it up with Cycle Package, which takes up just the right number of custom part slots. And this ain't no canned bean, this is more like French cuisine put in some time-traveling lunchbox so it never spoils. But that's not all. We still haven't talked about the transformation part, and that's a crucial part of the Gabthley's attack. While it takes a decent amount of thrusters to start because we don't have transformation optimizers, transformation is a good way to initiate attacks on the Gabthley as it unlocks 2 new weapons. The first one is the Feather-in Beam Rifle Transform. Not enough stagger accumulation to get a stagger uncharged, but the charge time is now just a second, and feel free to do that twice in a row. Start with these and you can chain the normal staggers into the transformed beam cannon twice. The second weapon on the Gabthley when transformed is the transformed beam cannon. Doesn't look impressive on paper with a 95% hit rate, but honestly, we don't care. As long as it's under 100%, it means we can fire twice, and with a 1 second cooldown, this weapon can chain instant staggers on its own. Add on top transformation reinforcement, and this lunchbox is a real threat when flying at your face. Refined Zaku gets staggered in our face, and we can show the full power of the Gabthley. Thanks to his 2 melee weapons, once the Refined Zaku spends his evasion, we can literally combo him forever. 4 second cooldown on the Feather-in Saber means you have just enough time to swap back from the normal Beam Saber. Couldn't stagger the Delta Plus fast enough to save our Mudrock, but a very hasty tackle from him and he'll pay the price. No special counter this time because this thing is ancient, but it still hurts. Gets downed by the new Gundam, but we can do nothing about it. What we can choose, however, is how to run. And my choice is to ball. Not using our invincibility, it catches our enemy by surprise and we get out in one piece. And even better, someone chooses to follow. That's a grave mistake from the Delta Plus, overheat our Feather-in rifle and we land 7,000 damage. Finish up with more melee attacks, and that's the Delta Plus back to base in a single dive. Overheating really is the biggest strength of the Gabthley. Without overheating, the Gabthley is just a good old general type with just the basic needs. But start overheating the weapons and the Feather-in rifle is essentially a death laser. The beam cannon is worth 2, and the transformation combo comes with 4 instant staggers in one run. Just don't overheat your thrusters. This mobile suit may be old, but this match proves that it's certainly not outdated. Thanks to the constant stream of buffs, the Gabthley simply has everything it needs, but overheat the weapons and this mobile suit really reaches the next level. 150% stagger and 7,000 damage in less than 2 seconds, 2 instant staggers, 2 melee weapons, and a transformation combo with 4 staggers in a row is not what you'd expect from a 5-year-old mobile suit. That's it from me today. The next buff will probably give the Gabthley transformation optimizers and the latest.